So first of all, thanks for the opportunity to talk about something that I, together with my colleagues, have been working on for quite a few months now, and that's our recent investment in Proda. But before I continue on Proda, let's give a brief introduction on myself as well as ING Ventures and what we do. So I'm indeed a director at ING Ventures. I've been with the team since incorporation in 2017. And ING Ventures is essentially a venture capital fund, but then a corporate venture capital fund. So we invest on behalf of ING. Together with my team or our team, we manage a fund of 300 million, which we invest in early stage tech investments. Currently a portfolio of 35 companies dispersed across various sub-verticals. So one element is PropTech, which is relevant because ING is a big party when it comes to mortgages, as well as real estate finance. But other things are RegTech because we need to be compliant with our regulators. And of course, FinTech, which is the core business of ING. When it comes to our investing, we tend to focus on scaling stage companies, generally Series A, Series B stage companies. But lately, we have also started to invest in growth stage companies, meaning Series C and up, as well as in seed investments. But those are generally limited to opportunities that have been validated through ING Labs, which is ING's incubator. The purpose of all these investments, of course, is not just financial driven. So, of course, like any fund and any investor, we need to realize financial return, and that's an important part of our activities. But what we're really aiming for is unlocking strategic return. And therefore, we closely collaborate with people in the business, as we have recently done with our colleagues in real estate finance, in order to link them up with external tech companies to resolve certain issues in the business. For example, together working on a new product to present to our clients to create better use cases or user experiences, I must say, or integrating certain solutions to more efficiently process information within the bank. So when it comes to identifying these opportunities, we tend to leverage, of course, the various channels that we have, but also the employees we have at ING. So we have 50,000 employees globally, and there are always people out there talking with companies like they have done in the past with Peter. And this is how we get connected to these initiatives. So switching to Proda, like any other bank, ING has come to realize that in order to be successful in the long term, you need to be data driven in order to create better products, to manage your risk, also to comply with regulatory requirements. However, when it comes to data collection, many companies struggle. And there certain industries are very digital and there's a lot available. But when you take more traditional industries and markets, for example, like real estate, that can be a problem. And that is what our employees also experience, that in order to satisfy the increasing demands by regulators on reporting, on lending portfolios, there's a lot of data that needs to be provided to those regulators. And up until now, ING has been employing people really sitting in the office, whose sole purpose is to standardize rental data from our clients, putting it into our backend systems such that we can feed it off to reporting to the regulator. And this is something that is clearly not scalable. And therefore, we have been exploring opportunities in the outside market. And some time ago, we came into contact with Peter and Charles, the founders of Proda, and they were actually on a journey to solve this specific issue, as they had been experiencing it on the other side when they were working at an asset manager. So it was a great matchup. And over the past year, we have been experimenting the solution, trying it out, testing the maturity of this solution. And recently, and that's great news, we have decided to collaborate. So we've partnered up with them in a commercial contract and are now intending to expand that globally across our real estate activities within ING. And moreover, we have decided to invest in the company in order to provide them the capital to further progress their development and expand their solution. Well, clearly, this is not a problem that is linked just to ING. We have come to understand that this is an issue that PropTechs face, large corporates face, and maybe people in the audience have experienced issues with standardizing rental data. Therefore, I'd like to hand over the word to Peter, who can tell you more about the company, the solution, and his bigger vision for the future.
Yeah, thanks a lot. First of all, thanks a lot for inviting us to speak at this event. I think these sort of platforms are super helpful for startups because they're connecting kind of the PropTech world with the technology world. My presentation today is about turning data from a problem into an asset, and I will start kind of describing why we think we have a problem in the property market, and then show you Proda's take on how we solve this issue. First, maybe let me tell you a little bit more about myself. So my background is in real estate private equity. I used to work for many years, first in investments and then moved to asset management and fund management. And this is also where I met my co-founder, Charles Williams, and where we came across kind of the problem we are solving nowadays with Proda. And we were quite fortunate back then that we could kind of test different solutions. We had state-of-the-art underwriting model to price an asset, to price an investment. And we also use different software systems. I mean, this is 10 years ago now, so there were not that many out there, but we tested different cash flow models, for example, and they all solved a very specific issue, and they solved it pretty well. But one problem, what we felt still persisted, was that I still spend a lot of time in the office to analyze, let's say, potential deal, or to analyze kind of the assets I had under management. And we believe that one of the kind of core issues when it comes to data is that we don't have a standard. It's basically like almost every property speaks a different language. And we as real estate professionals, we spend a lot of time translating this, the different kind of data we get into the format that our system can then process. And I also strongly believe that this is one of the key barriers for technological advancement in the industry. So if we don't sort out the data issue, it's really hard to automate any sort of process. And in this processing, I mean literally just if you get all the data, standardize it, checking it for mistakes, inferring maybe additional data points, and then in the end creating the desired output, like valuation reports or risk management reports, or whatever your task is. So this problem is even what gets even worse when we look at the investment value chain. So I mean the graph on the right hand side depicts a simplified version of how we see the investment ecosystem. So usually the data originates with the property manager. The property manager sends data to a joint venture partner, operating partner, so a local specialist. These guys work probably with different property managers. They get different data formats. They then spend time error checking it, putting it into their reporting. They send their reporting off to the fund manager. The fund manager probably works with 10, 20, or 50 different joint venture partners. They get a lot of different formats of data, spend a lot of time checking the data and populating their kind of data models or their underwriting models or whatever kind of reporting tools they're using. And for banks, it's probably even worse because banks work with hundreds of thousands of investors. So they receive a lot of different data formats. And as Vincent just pointed out, it's done mostly manual. And this creates, I mean, it is prone for errors just because it is done manual. And you can see that even for the same investment, the data is processed several times within the investment value chain. So Proda is focusing on a specific subset of data, on rental data. I think most of you probably know what that is. It's basically a summary table of all the lease terms in place for a building, including its vacancies, and it's used for valuation purposes, risk management. So it's a very important set of data, important data set, but it's pretty complex, and it's quite difficult to work with this data. So Proda is a cloud-based solution that automatically extracts rent roll data from Excel. It then classifies the information. It then automatically standardizes it, and it checks for errors. So we run hundreds of different checks to make sure that the data story within the table makes sense. And if there's anything that is an outlier, we say, hey, this doesn't look right, then it's flagged to the user. So after the user has uploaded the data, they end up with a repository of clean standardized data. So it doesn't matter what kind of country the data came from, for which asset class it was, everything is standardized into the Proda model. So this is a very specific issue we are solving, but I think it has kind of there are very broad use cases what you can do with it, because it doesn't matter really what you want to automate. If you use rent roll data, you first need to, or any type of data in that sense, you first need to kind of clean the data, standardize it before you can actually automate a process. And so different use cases that kind of Proda is targeting, or our clients are using Proda for, is for asset management purposes. So we can track changes within time series data. So we can tell you exactly on a fund level, your, I don't know, occupancy has changed by X%. You can drill down on a portfolio, property, or unit level to actually see the change. And Proda is automatically classifying this change. You can comment on it. Other clients use Proda just as a kind of data capture and standardization engine. So we have an API, so a connection from Proda to our client system. And they just use Proda to capture all the different data formats they have. And we store it, the standardized clean data in Proda, and then we can map to exactly the format the client wants. And this is really important, that we standardize data without imposing a standard. So everything goes into Proda, and then we can map to exactly the data format our clients want to have it in. Other use cases are you can use Proda as a comps database, so especially probably for capital markets team or surveyors. So it's a quite common use case. But I was talking about kind of the most important step is getting the data in a state that you can actually work with it. And we tried to quantify it, or just I want to show you what is the benefit. And what we did a quick case study where we used the rent roll on the left-hand side. You can see it. It's a pretty simple rent roll, I would say. It's like a single asset investment, not too many columns, not too many rows. Clients have uploaded data with, I don't know, 125 columns and 5,000 rows. So this is, I would say, a simpler rent roll. And we put the task to a real estate analyst to create the 3 tables on the right-hand side. So just to analyze this rent roll and to create 3 probably pretty widely used kind of tables or analysis. So when you would do an investment, you probably would create an area breakdown by use type, a top tenant table with rent per annum, percentage of rent, and weighted average lease to break. So this tells you how long the remaining lease term is. And the third chart shows you a lease expiry profile. So it shows you how much rent expires in a given year. And we did the same thing with Proda. So we connected Proda to a business intelligence tool, in this case, Power BI, and we measured the time from the raw data. How long does it take to create these outputs? So on the left-hand side, you can see the manual approach. And on the right-hand side, you can see how Proda is doing it. So Proda finished the task in roughly 3.5 minutes. And so this is, I think it's 40 times the normal speed right now. So I'm just going to skip forward. And the manual task took over half an hour. So this is roughly a 10 times benefit or 90% efficiency gain. So this is just one kind of specific example for a specific task, but you might create completely different analysis on rent roll data, which you can do, but you always need to have the data first in standardized format. So this is just to kind of show you the power of when you have clean data, standardized data. Now I want to talk a little bit about kind of what Proda has been doing in the last couple of years and also what we're working on right now. So the first Proda was set up in 2017. We had a MVP after roughly a year, and we officially launched Proda in 2019, Q4 2019. And we have been focusing during that time really of what we believe this is the core issue. So how can we make it easier for our clients to work with rent roll data? So Qorra can read any sort of rent roll format, convert it into Qorra's common data model, and then we can export it into our clients' data schema, however that might look like. The second step is, and what we now started to roll out to our clients, existing clients, is collaboration, because we're still exchanging data by Excel. And I think overall, I'm probably one of the few guys in the PropTech space that thinks Excel is not the worst tool. I actually think it's quite useful. But right now we're exchanging data by Excel, and this is actually quite error prone, because as I said before, the same data is processed several times manually in the investment chain. So we are focusing now on offering collaboration tools within Qorra. This means that users can exchange data via Qorra, which basically means that a fund manager can collaborate with their joint venture partners. Once the data is in Qorra, they press a button and the data is shown in their format. So we really believe we can cut kind of data processing when it comes to rent roll to almost 100%. All right, that's all from my side. I do think we have time for a few questions if there are any. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was amazing. Oh, so you're the one and only that still likes Excel in real estate. I cannot believe that, Peter.
I don't know if the only one, but I do think it's a quite useful tool.
Yeah, it is, and I guess in the real estate it's always also being used a lot. So I think to have a solution which fits within the Excel mindset, I think it's very smart, or not?
No, it is widely used. I would say probably 90% still use it, and it is just very cost efficient, and you can customize it quite a bit. And nowadays, I would say every real estate professional knows how to use it. I think this is why it's difficult to compete with.
So what do you see happening with real estate companies when you start talking to them? Because you say, well, you do your task in 33 minutes, and you can do that 10 times better. What do they say to you when you say that is possible?
Yeah, no, I think so. And when it comes to automation, I think the problem we describe, everyone knows about it. Like, it's something that we are competing mainly with kind of the old-fashioned approach. Let's do it manually. But if we can show that we are not only faster, but we also probably find mistakes on the way when we process the data, I think this is really the big selling point, that you can say, look, now you can rely on your data. You as an analyst, you don't need to get a rent roll and you have a deadline at 9 p.m. to finish an analysis. We can really automate kind of a big portion of your work. It's probably the portion that no one really likes to do as well. Data processing is usually not the fun bit.
Yeah, Vincent, what do you like the most about Qorra?
Well, actually, it's the team. Of course, as a CVC, you come across a lot of teams, and some teams are really good in selling themselves. Sometimes they fail to deliver. And we've now been collaborating for more than half a year with Peter and Charles, and these guys just deliver, and they are building something that is truly unique, that is enterprise ready for clients like ING. So I get really excited spending time with these guys.
Yeah, cool. Well, one more question for you, Vincent. Where's the industry right now when we talk about, well, digital transformation?
Well, I think I can better defer the question to Peter. He's definitely the industry expert. So Peter, please.
Sure. Well, I think we are still at the very beginning. I mean, there's so much more that we can do, but I truly believe that we still need to get a handle on our data and kind of get rid of the data silos and make it easier to exchange data and to make it easier to work with data. I think even PropTech was not a term when we started Qorra almost 4 years ago. So I think there's a lot of things happening right now, and I do think we are at the very beginning.
Yeah, it's still in the beginning for you.
Yeah.
Where's the main focus for you right now? Is it UK or is it also a different kind of country?
No, we always at the very beginning, we always said, because our background is kind of the fund management industry, and a lot of our clients at least have European funds or global funds. So we always develop Qorra in a way that we can adjust for different jurisdictions, different countries, and different data formats quite easily. So most of our clients right now are in Europe. I think right now we are roughly in 6 different countries.
Yeah, maybe that's a question for you, Vincent. Is that also what you see as a VC? A lot of solutions coming from just one country, facing also the problems for one country, and Proda is looking way broader than just one country.
Yeah, definitely. And when we started looking into PropTech, it was around 2018. So this was when the industry was really, really early stage. In fintech, we saw already many large deals happening and companies starting their international expansion. And when you were looking at the let's say the PropTech space, everybody was still focusing on their individual countries, solving indeed issues very locally. Over time, you start seeing these companies mature, and as such, they also start to expand. I think the attractive element of Proda is that they are built in a way that it doesn't really matter where you apply them. It's a model that learns. The more data it's fed, the easier it understands and becomes adaptable to these other markets. But definitely, we're seeing that happening across the sector.
Yeah, well, interesting. Well, we're ready to help the industry to move forward as much as we can. I think there is much more that we need to push the industry forward. So thank you very much for this inspiration 20 minutes. It was a privilege to have you guys with us, and hope to see you next time.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for the opportunity.